It's a high fly ball off of the bat, and Jarren Duran. That one will leave the yard and give the American League its first lead of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jarren Duran, the MVP of the All-Star Game, and well-deserved. Joe, we go back to you.
Welcome in to the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnard, and right to my left is the Ritt, not the man who started the Pesky Podcast as well as the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. How you doing, my man?
Hey, Tim. First off, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Second of all, man, you trying to get me emotional and get me pumped already. Jarren Duran, as soon as last night, he hit that, I don't know if I can say this, piss missile.
Yep. You're good.
Piss missile. Boom. I sit there and tweeted it out. I'm like, that's the MVP right there. Now I want to sit there and start, a little debate. All-Star MVP? Okay. How about season MVP? Let's go for it.
Oh, let's go for it. Absolutely. Hell, let's just go for winning the AL East, right? We're only 4.5 games behind Baltimore. No big deal.
Hey, they are over exceeding my expectations. And my expectations, we had a show in spring training where, we predicted. I sit there and gave them third in the AL East. I sit there and said they will get a wild card spot. And I got laughed at repeatedly for that. Who's laughing now, guys? Who's laughing now?
Well, and that's actually where I want to start, is the expectations going into the season with this team, because the Red Sox are exceeding all our expectations, maybe not yours, but all our expectations, being third in the American League wild card, having 2 games up on the Royals after winning 2 out of 3 games over the weekend. Obviously, prior to Monday, the last game was on Sunday. Kenley Jansen pulling off his first ever 6-out save, which when I saw him walk into the 8th inning, I was like, what are we doing? And he got those 3 outs. The 9th inning was a little scary, but Zenon Rafaela, who I want to talk about in a little bit, he came up with a hell of a throw, hell of a laser, and got the guy out trying to stretch from first to third. But walking into the start of this season, and I was one of those guys who was laughing all over your take, because one of my biggest issues was how the Red Sox ownership has just failed us since 2019. They kicked Cora away, brought him back, thank God, but they sold off Mookie Betts because they wouldn't pay for a effing homegrown superstar. And then it just all dwindled from there. Now, some moves were good, some weren't. But at the end of the day, you have this bozo.
Start a cheer. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox.
Go Red Sox.
You have that bozo, Tom Warner, coming out saying, oh, we're going full throttle, when you had probably one of the best free agent markets in all of sports within the last 5 years. And he's like, we're going to go full throttle. And then you do nothing, absolutely nothing. And so on paper, I'm looking at this roster going, yeah, this is a bum team. And not for nothing, I wanted them to lose out of spite for John Henry. I wanted them to lose out of spite, to be like, see, John, when you invest, you get a good team and you get a good product. But with where they are now, yeah, I'll gladly sit there and be like, yep, hey, I knew where I stood, but now I want this team to win and go for it.
Exactly. At the beginning of the season, my biggest concern was the rotation. Like, absolutely. We had Giolito go down. So then all of a sudden, my first thoughts was, man, we got to have Whitlock and Houck in our starting rotation now. Like, this isn't good. You're relying on Brian Bayo to be your number 1 starter. That's not good. Then you have Pivetta coming on a contract year. So that always has potential when it's a contract year because they're going to give it, 110% because they want to show, hey, you can invest in me. Look at me, And then my boy, I loved him. I loved him last season. Cutter Crawford, that's my boy. That's my dog. I predicted last year and this year that he was going to have the most wins in this pitching staff. So that was my biggest concern. Then all of a sudden Whitlock went down. Okay, man. Now we got to sit there and have Cooper Criswell. And he's never pitched as many innings in his career as he has this year. Trevor Story. Yeah, Trevor Story putting his body on the line and then goes down with a shoulder injury. I'm like, damn. And then Casas goes down with an injury. But all of a sudden, you had the next man up mentality that these guys had. Like, it took them a little while to find a suitable replacement for first base, with the Dominator, Dominic Smith. Second base was at the beginning of the season was
atrocious.
Always yes.
Atrocious.
But they finally let David Hamilton play with his natural position at second base. He got comfortable. The bats come alive. And now he's leading this team with stolen bases. Shortstop. Man, Hamilton's playing shortstop over there. But then you got the human. I dub him as the human highlight reel. Ceddanne Rafaela. Because as you sit there and said, he makes the most effortless plays. He's a natural athlete, and he's playing about 50% shortstop and center field, and he can play, above everybody else at both positions. Third base, I picked him for the AL MVP this year, Devers, and he's playing up to that. He's exceeding that expectation. He's right up there, in my opinion, with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge for the AL MVP. You can't sit there and talk about Judge or Soto without sitting there and saying, well, what about Devers? He's improved his defense immensely. Connor Wong, his bats come around and is absolutely great now behind the plate and in the field. Then our outfield exceeded what I sit there and thought. I dubbed them the Super Smash Brothers with Jarren Duran and Tyler O'Neill. Because those dudes are jacked. And then you had a little bit different. You had Wilyer Abreu there. He was hot. Then he didn't know how to walk down the dugout correctly. Then all of a sudden Rob Refsnyder, the lefty killer, he goes, forget lefties. I'll kill anything. He's hitting righties, he's hitting lefties, and he's probably the best fourth outfielder you can find in all Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
So I looked at that core, and I was like, these guys are young guys. They like to have fun. They play together. If we can figure out some pitching somehow, I think we're going to do all right. And, well, we're doing quite well right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because when Story went down, I was immediately, that's it. We're done. Perfect. You know what? This is fitting right into my storyline. I'm loving loving every second of it from the sheer fact out of spite for ownership. That's the thing. I just want to make sure people understand I love the Red Sox. I wanted to do good. One of my favorite childhood memories was during the summer going to Fenway Park, just enjoying the atmosphere that was Fenway. And, with how the team has acted, it's like, well, first of all, if you're going to have the highest ticket prices, in all of baseball, and then you're going to deliberately diminish the payroll and tell us, basically you're just going to lie to us, with every move that you make. If you're not going to care, then why should I? Why should I invest if you're not going to invest? So that's where I stand with ownership and just that mentality of Trevor Story going out. Hey, you know what? It's fitting right into my narrative. I'm loving every second of it. Well, that month of June was wild. I'm sitting there watching going, you know what? Damn, this is actually kind of a fun team. I went to the one of the games down in Tampa at the Trop, and I like watching them live and just seeing the old-timey baseball that they were doing, just running bases, hitting runs, stolen bases, like just going for triples, random stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, this isn't a 2024 Major League Baseball team. And I love it. Like it's old school. And so, and yes, all of them have been just performing out of their cleats. Like I've never thought they would. And I think they were 80 games into the season, and all of a sudden the article started coming out about, they have the same record as the 04 Red Sox. And then they were kind of comparing to 04. And I'm like, no. This ain't the 04 Red Sox. This is the 2013 Red Sox, except the 2013 had more veteran leadership on that team. But just the young guys being able to come up and being able to produce the way they have and just being all around fun, that 2013 team, Fear the Beard. Now I don't know what the hell these guys are doing, but I saw a great meme with Dom Smith the other day that I don't want to say on air. But Jared Duran has really come a long way since he first came up to the big leagues. And that's another reason why I've been kind of done with ownership and, front office, is because they treated the Red Sox like a 4A team. Mm-hmm. And that was just so despicable as a Red Sox fan. Like, how could you not just watch that and be just so aggravated at how the team is running? It's acting like a 4A team. It's like, no. This is the team. This is the majors. Like, this isn't, still development camp. Like, that was AAA, AA, single A. Like, come on. And then to see Duran out there in 22, just kind of, where's the ball? It's 50 feet behind your head, pal. Like,
and he walks to get the ball. Like, come on now.
Yeah, like exactly. And so to go from that to now where he's at today, unbelievable transformation. Just something that I feel like very rarely see, because a play like that, I think for 29 other clubs, done. See ya. You know what? You're going to be minors eternally after that. But hey, it's a good thing. I think we, obviously we stuck to our guns with him. Let him develop, because not only did he make the All-Star team, and rightfully so, but he's he became the All-Star MVP last night.
Yeah. I can't sit there and say that I've been on the Jaron Duran train since the beginning, because where me personally was last year, the WBC, and when he wanted to go play for Team Mexico over, spring training with the Sox, that's what I'm like, dude, do you see what you played last season?
Yeah.
Are your priorities really there? Like you're not even playing for Team Mexico. You're sitting the bench. Like, I get you want to represent your country, but man, you got to get your priorities, or you're going to be shipped out. And then, hearing AC, when he did come back for a little bit, just telling him, have fun, just play the game. And he started the season in AAA, and rightfully so. Then all of a sudden, Duvall goes down, and here he comes up. And then all of a sudden, it's a different guy. Yep. He's taking different routes to the ball in the outfield. He's turning, as my co-host, the OG, sits there and says he turns singles into doubles into triples. Like, he's very aggressive, and all of a sudden it's a different guy. Then and I sit there and I have him like he's leading the pack. Mm-hmm. He's leading off. He's leading that pack of wolves. Because Duran, he's hungry like a wolf. And all of a sudden, he sets the table, and then everybody else gets in line and gets hyped. David Hamilton behind him. What other lineup in baseball do you have Ceddanne Rafaela, Jaron Duran, and David Hamilton batting 9, 1, and 2 with all that speed.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Rafaela. Rafaela turning it on hitting recently has just made this lineup, I think, that much more scary.
Yeah. AL Rookie of the Year right there. Like he's leading almost every category. I don't think between Hamilton, Abreu, and Rafaela, there's been any other player that has led more categories, than those three at any point in time for AL Rookie of the Year this season. Like maybe what Colton Brewers from Baltimore for a minute or two, but those three are absolutely ridiculous with those numbers.
Well, yeah. In terms of Rafaela, like I have the numbers right here, and compared to all the rookies, and I couldn't take batting average or OBP because I have Baseball Reference pulled up, and when you try to go top to bottom, BA, OBP, all that stuff, it's like, oh, the guy's batting 500. Yeah, well, he played in 2 games. Like, what do you want me to do with that?
Exactly.
So, but in terms of all the other stats, I mean, Rafaela is tied for second in runs, third in hits, third in doubles, tied for second in triples, tied for third in homers. He's first in RBIs, fourth in stolen bases, and covers has Wyatt Langford as the front runner for Rookie of the Year. And listen, Wyatt Langford has hit a grand slam. He's hit some big home runs, but I mean, he's not really, I don't think he's atop any of these categories, let alone top 5 in terms of what I just read off.
And look at the stats, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Look at the stats, but look where he's hitting. He's hitting in the 9 spot. Like, could you imagine if he was moved up? Like,
well, yeah. Well, I wonder too if moving him up, wouldn't be the best. Would not be the best thing for him because they're again. Did you ever play baseball growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why, but when I got to a certain level and I was batting second, all of a sudden, whenever I got moved up or moved down to like first or third or fourth, next thing I knew, like I wasn't hitting right. And then when I got moved to second, I was back to where I was. It was, and again, it's not to say I sucked, but it was just like this weird phenomenon that I feel like Rafael has finally found his stride. And what a speed demon you would have to, or just speedy guys you would go against. Like you mentioned, you go Rafael at 9, Durant first, David Hamilton at second, and then you have Devers batting third. Like that's wild. That's insane. If all 3 of those guys get on base, there's no telling what they could do.
Yeah, and you sit there and it's always like you always worry about like third, like who bats third because you got to protect them in the lineup. But looks like if I'm a pitching and I got Cedon Rafaela up, knowing Duran's on deck, like, man, that's kind of protecting him there, in a way.
Yeah. So I'm joined by the Ritt from the Pesky Podcast, founder of the Boston Sports Entertainment Network on YouTube. Don't check them out if you haven't. It's a great Red Sox podcast. You were telling me you've got some inside sources there over at the Pesky Podcast.
We've got some there. I work with Jonathan Papelbon a little bit. With all the Hulkamania merchandise that is out there. We are actually the only ones that are backed by Tanner Houck and Jonathan Papelbon to supply Hulkamania merchandise. So make sure you head on over bscn617.square.site. Get your merchandise, and 20% of the sale goes to Tanner Houck's charity, Caritas Family Solutions.
That's awesome. That's hey, it's always good to see that guys like them give back, and also while you do that, don't forget check out the Boston Sports Summit here on the Grid Network. You can check out Boston Sports Summit on Instagram, Boss Sports Summit on X, and then we're on YouTube, and the show goes live every Wednesday at 7 on the Grid Networks, YouTube and X. So, when it comes to Duran, and again, talking about expectations heading into the season, Fangraphs had his expectations batting .255, 313 OBP, a 424 slugging, and a 1.6 WAR. Now, in turn, like when it comes to WAR, I look at it going, I guess it's a good number, but I couldn't tell you in the slightest because I am anti-numbers. Well, not all numbers, but anti crazy numbers, anti-nerd. I'm anti-Guy in Bloom, all that stuff. So now, and this is the reason why I'm like that, is because those were his expectations. His reality, what he's actually done this season, is bat .283, has a 342 OBP, a 476 slugging, and then a 3.7 WAR. Meanwhile, he's the MLB leader in triples and the AL leader in doubles. The dude is beating all the projections. And to have guys like Guy Bloom, to guys have like Craig Breslow, who are, watching the numbers and watching the projections, is Craig Breslow said last week something to the effect of, they still have to pick a lane. They still earlier this week too, he says we have to take this team seriously. And it's like, oh, okay. So you were like me then. You looked at this team, you looked at the numbers and thought they were going to be garbage. And now when they have outperformed it, you're waiting for the regression to finally hit, because that's the other thing with numbers. It's like Joe Mazzulla said after winning the championship, we live in an expected world. They can miss the first 23s, but because they're, 40%, they're going to hit the next 60% in order to balance that out or whatever. And that's what drives me bananas. Jarren Duran is beating the numbers. He's beating the nerds at their own game, but they refuse to see it. Do you agree with me, or do you think that,
Absolutely. Like, if you look at the expectations and you talk about regression, me personally, I think the best regression that they're going to get was the month of May. That's it. Like, we overexceeded our expectations in April, end of March, and all of April, with our starting pitching, being ridiculous. Yep. Then May kind of, brought us back to reality. But here we are in June and July. Okay. Cooper Criswell did his job while he was there. Mm-hmm. It was his job to lose. He lost it. Guess what, Breslow? We need another pitcher. We need another 5, a start, 4 or 5 anywhere. Okay. Then all of a sudden, in my opinion, we need at least another right-handed bat. We
Yeah.
Lefties
are killing us.
But if you look at it, we're killing righties. How many rotations will we face come playoff time that has more than one lefty, or 2 lefties in the bullpen?
The Yankees.
So, and look what we do to them. As long as they're pitching Garrett Cole, that's one for us right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Because Devers doesn't sit there. He does not let his son talk back to him.
Yep.
So, but do if we don't get another right-handed bat, I will still be happy, because we'll be getting Tristan Casas back. So
hold on. I don't mean to cut you off right there, but you said if we don't get a right-handed bat. So what do you mean by that? Because when it comes to the trade deadline, I'm all in. Like, we need to make a big move. We need to make a big splash, because this is the type of team where you need to make a big splash in order to, put us in that category of winning the pennant. But if we're going to make little tinker moves here and there, like an injured Kyle Schwarber or, kind of selling off pieces, not selling off pieces, but just kind of bringing in, little pieces like that to me doesn't scream like they're invested like they should be.
Tim, okay, if you ever listen to my podcast, out of the three of us, I am the guy that people look at because I make outlandish remarks. Last year I sit there and made the remark that the Yankees were going to have to trade deadline. We're going to go out and get the Cardinals, Arenado. People just looked at me weird. You know what I mean? But if we go out and get a big bat, and like you, it's got to be big. There's only two names that come to mind, and they're both will probably be Reynolds, and they both of them will give Casas a time to get back to 100% in the lineup. Go call the Mets, get Pete Alonso, or go call Toronto, give me Vladdy. You ain't using them. Toronto lost their window, in my opinion, to do anything. So give me Vladdy, give me Pete Alonso. You can sit there and let Casas work his way back in till he's 100%. You can sit there and rotate any one of those guys and Yoshida in the DH spot. Mm-hmm. And that right there's your bat. It's a rental, but you're going.
Yeah.
But you need a pitcher. And of course, we have Kyle Hendricks coming back, and everyone's like, oh, well, that's your bullpen piece. You always got to go in and get another bullpen piece. Always.
Exactly.
So, and there's a player that needs to be on the 40-man roster. I can't remember by the date, Brian Mata.
Yeah.
And he's got to make it or he's got to be DFA, make through. So he could be another guy that comes in and helps us a little bit, but we got to get another bullpen piece, in my opinion. We just lost Martin, so we got to sit there.
Yeah, that would be – I feel like, too, that would be great if we got an extra starting pitcher. So, like, if the Texas Rangers I have up here, they are 46-50, 7.5 games back from us in the wild card. Yes, they're 7-3 in their last 10 and have won their last 2. But if they're selling off pieces, if we could get a Valdi for cheap, maybe hopefully we don't have to give up that much, and then maybe get another starter on top of that, then we can move Pivetta to the bullpen and let him flourish back there. And yeah, I agree with you. I would love to have Pete Alonso because that's my guy. Mm-hmm. I'm a Florida guy. I don't know if you can see back there the Gators logo. Yep. Pete Alonso is my guy. I would love that. Unfortunately, I would love to have Vladdy, but that's just going to cost way too much. Division rivals, they're not going to give him up, at least to us. I doubt they'd give him up to anybody in this division. But yeah, just going off of like you said, the right-handers versus left-handers on other teams. I mean, I was reading a piece where it said the Red Sox are an incredible 20-1 in their last 21 games against right-handed starters, but left-handers obviously have them going crazy. And so that's where, yes, I would love to get a strong right-handed bat, somebody we can put up over the green moss, as well as get at least one more key starter. Then, of course, add a couple bullpen pieces. The $1 million question is, though, will Breslow follow through on that? Because I feel like until a couple of days ago, he was spouting all the classic nerd speak that I heard from Kyle Bloom. in just the whole, oh, well, we haven't picked a lane yet. We will pick a lane. Don't worry. We're evaluating everything. As long as the team goes out and win, it makes it easier for us, blah, 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 all the nonsense. Where, again, I even saw a Red Sox Twitter account. I forget who it was, but he posted something that Breslow said the other day, and it's like it's almost but confirmed that they're going to buy at the deadline. And I remember reading the comment, thinking to myself, I don't think you think what I think it means, or I don't think you think whatever the Mandy Patinkin from oh god, I can't remember the movie, but you know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So
and to me, like they asked AC, about what are they going to do with the trade deadline? Are they willing to be buyers at the trade deadline? AC flat out said no. We're winning for that wild card spot. Like we're doing what we're supposed to do. Now they got to do what they got to do. So the Red Sox, from the players to the coach, to the managers, to development, are all the way up. They gotta push, them to spend. They can't sit there and sit back. Another, which everybody loves Cinderella stories, and the way he got a standing ovation last year, coming off the field. Another first baseman would be try to reunite with Justin Turner. Have him come back, right-handed bat. He would be the cheapest option, and he's just started to come back on after, starting it off really slow.
Yeah.
But either way, you got to show. You can't sit there and, duck and dive. Okay, well, we don't want to give up any of our big four or big three. Dude, now is the time. Me personally, and Red Sox Nation, Boston's going to sit there and hate me. If I'm Breslow and I get a phone call from the Mets, yo, you want Alonso? You give me Roman Anthony, and throw in one or two other pieces. It's yours. Hey, Roman, love to hear, buddy, but I got a World Series to win. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it would go with Kyle Teal. It would go with Marcelo Meyer. Any of those three, I would be expending to secure that, to show that.
I would, yeah. I see what you're saying, and at the start of the season I was all aboard. You know what, Meyer, see ya. Like he's like, as long as we get a good piece for him, I'm ready to ship him off. And yeah, maybe with what Roman Anthony did on Friday, I think it was, that light show he put up on Saturday or something, like that was spectacular. And
exactly.
One of the things that I feel like Dave Dombrowski gets no credit for is the fact that he was able to sell off pieces that sucked and keep the pieces that were good. Mm-hmm. I mean, frequent commenter on the show, Not Dog, comments, aren't most of these guys coming in now are Dave Dombrowski boys? To some degree, yes, they are. Duran's a Dombrowski guy. Rafael is a Dombrowski guy. Dombrowski kept Devers over Moncada, which is huge, which is key. And Moncada was the number one prospect in baseball at the time. And that's where I am nervous about almost all the GMs today. Obviously Dombrowski's running the Phillies, but this whole idea, this whole notion of, oh, well, we can have both at the same time, the number one farm system and the number one major league team. I don't disagree with you, no, but it's about picking the right guys to keep and to sell. Okay, like Roman Anthony is a top 25 baseball prospect, I think. Maybe even top 20. And if Dombrowski were running the team, I guarantee you he would know if Roman Anthony was worth keeping, because then he would probably, pick another guy and be like, no. This is the guy you need to send off. Hey, he's better. He's go take him. And that's where I'm looking at this trade deadline, and I'm seeing a lot more Red Sox fans kind of buying into the fact that, oh wait, Breslo's gonna buy, let's go. Where I'm like, whoa. He told you himself he's a nerd. He might have played, but he speaks like Kyan Bloom. And
Harvard.
Yale. No, not Harvard.
Yeah.
Yale guy. But that's where I'm like, I am going to deny until I see it.
Yeah, and I look at it this way. We had on man, let me sit there and try to pull up his name real quick. We had him on the Pesky Podcast, and
by the way, what do you think of the while you're looking that up, what do you think of the All-Star and the festivities that are going on?
MLB is the worst. Yeah, it's worse than the Pro Bowl for football and everything. Like, and my personal, they should base it off of hockey. Bring in a skills competition.
Yeah,
have kids sit there and wing it, and into a trash can at home plate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, skills competition. The Futures game should not be on a Saturday when there's 4, 5, 6 other games on. That should be in a day in itself. You know what I mean?
It used to be.
Yeah. Home run derby. Go back to just time. Don't sit there. Wait.
No, go back to outs.
Yeah, outs. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And please, for the love of God, get rid of these crappy jerseys.
Thank you. Make those the home run jerseys. They have to wear the. Jared Duran should have been wearing a Red Sox home jersey last night, a white Red Sox jersey. Like, that is so. I would just say, just tragic. Like, it's really tragic how Major League Baseball, you would have all of them wear the American League, the National League jerseys, the night of the home run derby, and everyone's like, losing their mind, right? But then the night of the game, you have each one of them lined up in their own uniform, road or home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was beautiful. That was chef's kiss right there.
Like, that's watching the game kind of reminded me of Mother's Day versus Father's Day, battle. Like, what were they thinking? So,
oh my God, what an epic what do they call those? Birth
yeah,
like, right?
It's a girl.
It's a girl. The red team won. The pink team won. Oh my God, that would be wild to base the All-Star game off that. But yeah, continue.
But his name was Fabian Casareno.
Okay.
And he worked down in the minor league system. He was the guy that got them acclimated to this is how you have to act and all that.
Yeah.
You represent. And him and I were talking on the podcast and stuff like that, and we were talking off the podcast. And to bring up your point earlier about know who to keep, know who to get rid of, he said Zanatello at a younger Nazem Zanatello at a younger level, it's almost as good as Marcelo Meyer is now. In development. For the outfield, everybody knows about Roman Anthony, but all of a sudden now you got a healthy Miguel Blias.
Yep.
Another outfielder. Like, you got to look, like you said, okay, these guys are the name. They got the name, but who do we have down here that is developing that could shoot up right up there? And not to take nothing away from Roman Anthony and Kyle Teal, who shot up the farm system Speedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they flew up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a gender reveal party. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine a gender reveal party based on the All-Star game.
2020. I might post that later. 2024 year of the girl.
The year of the girl. Yeah, that's right. For oh my God, that would be so funny. The spring training. Never mind. That's gonna go way too far into it. But yeah, like the young bucks, like there's always another kid, and everybody hates Dave Dombrowski because they were like, "Oh my God, you're selling off these pieces," blah blah blah. But look at where we're at now, and one of the other things too is I can't stand how baseball is so hell bent on saying, "Well, he's this guy, he's this guy's guy, this guy's guy," and we're talking like 2-3 GMs ago, and that's. Again, Rafi Devers, a good example, is a Ben Cherington guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I care? Why am I giving Cherington credit for something that, Devers had to work himself up? Like he had to be better than Yohan Moncada and proved to be. Like there's no, okay, just because you bring him in, just because you draft him, in my opinion, doesn't mean garbage. Because at the end of the day, that kid still has to go out and prove it. The kid we just drafted at 12,
Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery out of A&M, who's supposed to be, was supposed to be like a top 5 pick. Great, we got a supposed steal. Now, if by the start of spring training at 26, he gets an invite and is fighting for a spot, then yeah, I'll gladly jump into the fray of we got a steal. But baseball is that one sport where I don't care who brought you in, when you came in, because I don't give that much credit. The only credit that I give to the GM is keeping or receiving. If you can identify the guy from a young age through single, double, triple A and make sure that his name's kind of on the DL, but then when he gets to the majors, all of a sudden his name rings throughout the whole league. That's where I really give credit to the GMs or CBOs, they want to call themselves.
Yeah, I sit there and think, Tim, the hardest thing for a GM was when the Rule 5 draft comes, because you can only protect so many people, and you got to be like, okay, I know this guy's good. But does everybody else know he's good? That's what you got to look at. Where Chaim Bloom gave us Whitlock.
Yep.
That we still
and then I'll give Bloom that. I'll say, listen, okay, good. You gave us Whitlock. That's good. But to sit here and for all the other stuff, I'm like, no, Bloom sucked.
What was it? This past season, Shane Drohan, got taken away. Then he got DFA'd, and now he's back with the organization. It's Rule 5s are the hardest thing, to do for a GM. Besides, when you want to execute that trade, which Chaim Bloom took way too long on doing a lot of times. He didn't want to pull the trigger because he wanted the perfect trade, and the closest thing he got for a perfect trade, in my opinion, was, trading Christian Vazquez for Wilyer Abreu and Emmanuel Valdez. Like, that was probably the closest to a perfect trade, that we got.
Yeah, that, and I would give maybe the Schwarber deal, because Schwarber they got cheap because he was injured for the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and don't get me, and that's the other thing, like, for somebody like Schwarber, fan favorite, and the next year he puts up like 40 plus home runs or something stupid like that, and he did it in Philly because, again, John Henry is too damn cheap to care, too damn cheap to invest in the team. But
wait, quick question though. Speaking of Philly, what did you think of Ortiz? His bold statement: 2024 World Series, Sox beat the Phillies.
Hey, You know what? Again, I think crazier things have happened. I think if we would have played Philly, I think down the road, everything remains equal. We play Philly in a best of 7. I don't feel comfortable about it, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I love Ortiz. I love Big Papi. He's my guy. I love that energy. I wish I had that energy sometimes because I'm too cynical. I'm too realistic sometimes. But I look at this team as something that, hey, you know what? Crazier things have happened, right? David Ortiz hit a first pitch grand slam in 2013 to tie the game in the 8th inning that Detroit should have won. Like it's all these things that I feel like, as much as now I'm not as bland as Jeter, but sometimes I feel like Jeter in that sense where it's like, okay, the best team's going to play the best team, and this is how it's going to, end up. Like, it's so easy to say that, but it's also the safest bet too, where I love Ortiz. Hey, Red Sox, baby, we're taking the pennant. Alex Cora wants the pennant. That means we're taking the pennant, baby. Let's go. And speaking of the pennant, Ritt, I want to get your second half outlook, because this is the thing where what's going to transpire? Are we somehow going to keep this up? I mean, right now we've seen Brian Bayo was able to, I think, to salvage his last couple of starts with what happened on Sunday. But the dude has become more and more of a head case. Tanner Houck having arguably his best season ever, having a 2.54 ERA, and should be the front runner for the AL Cy Young. But are the Red Sox going to be able to keep this up? And taking the trade deadline out of it, do you think they can make the push that they want?
For the division, no. But I do see them possibly overtaking second. And I see them, being the top wild card spot. Which, if we get that top wild card spot, you don't want to, and you know this for yourself, you don't want to come to Fenway in playoffs.
No, you don't.
Like that is one of the loudest places. I was there for 2021. I think it was game 2. Rodriguez was pitching.
Okay.
And it was crazy. It was crazy playing the Astros, and then some stuff happened that we don't need to talk about. But yeah, if we sit there and get dead, then all of a sudden the next thing that comes to my mind is Millar. Don't let us win tonight.
Don't let us win tonight. That's right.
Well, when was the last time, Tim, we lost a series? It's been a while. Like late May?
Yeah. Like it hasn't been that long, has it? Since May?
Late May, early June. I want to sit there and say, let me look. Boom.
Yeah, I was just going through that.
Early June. We lost.
Yeah.
Oh no, we split the series with the White Sox.
Yeah, that's a team we should be splitting series with.
Yeah. Last time we lost a series was Baltimore in the May.
Oh wow, yeah. Because I mean, since May 19th, the Red Sox have the best record at 31-18.
Yeah, and looking at coming out of the All-Star game, we're playing the Dodgers, who right now their starting pitching is struggling. I think the starters ERA is up over 7.
Wow.
So now's a great time. They don't got Mookie. Their starting pitching struggling. Then we got Colorado. Well, but then again, look what the White Sox did. We can't be losing those series or even get then we play the Yankees again, then Seattle, Texas, Kansas City. So in the next couple of weeks, this is where we can gain some ground overall. And
it's going to be. I think that Colorado series is If I were Breslow, probably the cutoff point in terms of, okay, we have to figure it out by then, because Colorado's going to go into, like, the Yankees series starts what? The
26th, the Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say a week from Friday.
Yep.
So yeah, with the trade deadline being that Tuesday, I mean, they have to know what they're going to do.
And me personally, I would much rather be the first person to strike than wait to see what everybody else is going to do. Because, just like I mentioned, look at the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers are going to be, right now their farm system is nothing like it used to be in the past. But they're going to be looking for a starting pitcher. So you got to look at the other team's needs. Will they match? Do they match yours? Are they going to be buyers, sellers? Mm-hmm. We actually next Thursday, we have an AL trade deadline. We have probably 8 or 9 writers, podcasters coming out from other teams to sit and talk. Friday will be the National League and stuff. And I kind of can't wait right now to see what others are hearing overall with, what could go on. But, man, Colorado, that would be a nice cutoff point. I would sit there and like to know before that.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you.
If we sweep the Dodgers, you got
That's a big if.
Yeah. Well, I just hope Tanner remembers that pitch and doesn't throw it nowhere near there again.
That was a oof.
But no, we got it. We got to be buyers. I think we have potential to be second in the division, and we're going to own the top wild card spot for the second half of the season. And my other predictions: Devers will be AL MVP. Raffaello will be the Rookie of the Year, and if Hal continues his Rick Porcello-like season, bam! I've got to give him the Cy Young.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that. What's funny is the more I've been thinking about it recently, the more I'm kind of wondering, will Devers even be in the top 5 of MVP voting? Only because I feel like this Red Sox team doesn't get the coverage that it should. And it almost feels like we're one of the blacked out markets from the 1980s college football, where they're like, you only knew your area only.
Yeah.
I feel like we all know what's going on with Devers, with Raffaello, with Houck, but again, it's not like I watch national baseball coverage 24/7. But I feel like the national guys, anytime they talk Red Sox, is basically either bashing ownership for not spending or not caring, or debating whether or not Craig Breslow is going to buy or sell for the Red Sox. That's all I hear nationally. It's not about our guys, not about this, not about that. So I would love to see that. I think we have a strong possibility of becoming that top wild card spot. Because let's face it, the Twins, no, they're not gonna be good. The Yankees, they are an absolute mess of an organization.
The Tankies.
Pretty much. I almost feel like the Yankees are what the Lakers are currently. Just a mess of an organization. They put great talent on the field or on the court,
mm-hmm.
But then when you're looking at the ins and outs of everything, the coach sucks, the manager sucks, the GM is, basically done. Like, what is Brian Cashman? I don't think was the GM that brought A-Rod to New York, was he?
I don't think so.
Has he been there since like 2003? Because if he is, Brian Cashman has built his name off of what he's done in the early to mid 2000s, and really hasn't done Yeah, he's brought a couple big names, Soto, Stanton. But again, Stanton's once again still hurt. Soto has been good, but it's not like they're winning.
It's just like the Lakers. Like you have LeBron and you got Aaron Judge. And you got pieces around, but they're never healthy all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's crazy, and that's why I'm loving this Red Sox team, is because they're not relying on their name. They're not relying on the big power potential that a lot of the nerds were pushing when the shift was still around. When the shift was still around, the nerds were like, "Oh, okay, still hit into the shift, but just hit over the shift." It's like, oh, what? A home run is worth more than a single? It's like, no duh. Just like a 3 is worth more than a 2. Obviously.
I sit there and think with Devers, what really helped elevate his game this year was him hitting opposite field.
I agree.
He's not pulling everything.
No.
And that's what's helping him out tremendously. He's getting deeper in the counts. He's not getting as frustrated. I think for the longest time he missed his buddy Xander next to him.
I don't agree with that.
But now all of a sudden, when Rafael is there, I see those two talking, having a good time out there, and it's like, okay, he's settling in. He's not throwing 30, 40 errors. Knock on wood. But he's sitting there. He's letting it roll off it, and he's leading by, not by his words, but he's leading by example, like you said, where he's hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help the team, and the team's going to help me.
Yep.
Exactly.
Sorry, my dog over here, my puppy. She all of a sudden she just dropped something, and I'm trying to look to see what it was. But yeah, and trust me, I love Devers hitting to the opposite field. I think as a lefty myself, and I get it. Hitting a baseball is literally the hardest thing to do in sports. I am not disagreeing with that comment. But I am sorry if there she is. Say hi, Eden. Say hi. If if there's a shift on, I'm sorry. How can you not hit to the opposite field? How do you not just hold back a little bit more and then just go? You know what I mean?
They're giving you a half the field.
Yeah,
a half the field.
Hell, bunt for all I care. Just get it down there. Get it down the opposite way.
Advance that runner.
Yeah.
Heck, if you could sit there and steal or do a hit and run, man, you could easily get to third because there's no one covering it.
Exactly. So I'm just, a part of me is glad that the shift is gone, but at the same time, I think if you look at the numbers as a whole, it's still not. The hits still keep going down year to year, which I find wild. I wasn't planning on talking about that, but I heard that just a couple weeks ago, so I was like, oh, just something that maybe I'll have for next week's show. But yeah, one of the things that I'm looking forward to trying to do is trying to do a live trade deadline show. Start an hour before the deadline to an hour, maybe an hour and a half after. Just to kind of ramp or just kind of get everything together. Because as you said earlier, you want to be one of the first guys to do it, and I agree with you. You know what? Just get it done now. You just get it out of the way, because I feel like that would be. It's too much pressure. Everybody's coming in at the same time. Don't even worry about that. Just get what you need now. Go bargain shopping now, and then by the end of it, it's going to cost way too much. So
exactly.
I don't know, but listen, do you have any other thoughts about this team going into the second half?
Stop underestimating us.
Facts.
Like that's it. Just stop underestimating us, because I kind of feel like this team right now is like the movie Major League, where they're saying screw the ownership.
Yep.
I just
don't think they'll. I don't think they have a poster board of John Henry. That's a no-go.
Let's hope not. And man, one of my final thoughts is they gotta, with what AC has done with this team. Like, and I'm all ready if he doesn't resign for Veritek, hopefully to take over. But with AC's what he's done, like I've always called him a bullpen killer. But he's been able to manage the bullpen this year too. Like, let's just sit there and see, what he wants. Like, he's doing with this team that no one else, thought. So
I wanted to give Cora all the money, going into this season. Like he's the one guy that I've let walk, I think, a little too much. Like I have let him get away with murder because of how bad the front office managed this team. But still, I still believe that Cora is, arguably the best manager in baseball. So whatever he wants, I pray that he, signs. But if he, says
if he doesn't
sign, I'd be understandable with that.
If he doesn't sign, and then you throw the boatload at him to get him upstairs, because he has that whole entire locker room's respect.
Absolutely. So thank you, the Ritt, for coming on tonight. It has been a pleasure getting to talk Red Sox, and I love your whole background there. That's electric, all the baseballs, the pennants. So thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to follow and watch the Pesky Podcast, a part of the Boston Sports Entertainment Network on YouTube. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. We'll have to do this again soon.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me on. And, now we got to get you over on our show.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll talk.
Thanks.
But thank you, man. I appreciate it. And for the Boston Sports Summit here on the Grid Network, I am your host, Tim Barnard, your one-stop shop for all Boston sports on this podcast. So thank you for sticking around. It has been a pleasure, and I will catch you guys maybe next week. Next week at 7 p.m. here on the Grid Network. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your night. God bless.